Hello, Nige here from Artecology. It's been an interesting year because we've been exploring new ways of working and new ways of kind of expanding what we do, and in that sense thinking about scale in a very different way about how to scale what we do. We've spent over a decade now figuring out how to do what we do in terms of the making of bioreceptive objects. Some folks are calling this kind of work nature inclusive designs, and I quite like that term. I think it suits what we do. What we actually do here is we make artifacts that have qualities within them that allow life to get a hold and to find a way to generate life cycle resources. I suppose that would be a good way of explaining what we do. And we call those things intentional habitats. So they're artifacts that are placed out in the world somewhere or other, and they allow life to colonize them and therefore to boost biodiversity. And one of the ways that we're doing that now is through this program called Artecology CoCreate, which is about engaging with communities, whoever those communities are. They could be schools, they could be corporate communities, they could be community groups, society in general, engaging with those folks in a very meaningful way and a hands-on way, in terms of the making of these artifacts, these intentional habitats. If we look over here, we've got some parcels that have arrived all the way from the north of England, from our good friends Groundwork, North East and Cumbria. I'm going to open them. Let's do an unboxing. Before we do that, I'm going to show you what it's all about, why this work we do we think is pretty important. So let's go and have a look. I'm going to take you across the road to what we call Science Beach, and Science Beach is where we are able to trial some of the things that we make. Some of these works that are out here have been out here for let me think, 2018, 2017, 2016 maybe, some of them. And what I'm talking about are these small artifacts we call vertipools, and vertipools support intertidal life. Now, I think if I've got my tide times right, I should know, things we're this close. There's the studio right there, there's the seawall or the revetment right there. We've just got to cross over now. Hey, there we go. Wander down onto the beach. This is what we call Science Beach. The infrastructure here, which are these groins, and the space between them we call Science Beach. And we've got permissions to trial some of the things that we make here, so we use it as a testing ground. And you can see that there are these objects, little basins, we call vertipools. I'll talk you through these in a minute. But what's important about these is, well, this one here, for instance, was made entirely by a young man, a 12-year-old boy, and he came up with the design idea for the interior, and it's an unusual one. You'll see when I show you the other ones that it has a very big rim, a very thick and broad rim with big overhangs, and then these very deep ridges inside the pool. And that was a deliberate idea based on some ideas that he had. And can you see here, look, where he's put his fingerprints? I'm aiming in the right place. Yeah, there we are. You can see there are little tiny limpets. There's, well, not that tiny, these are growing, these are sort of juvenile, but they're growing fast, and there's an adult one here. And they love this pattern, texture and form. But perhaps more importantly, on these very rough ridges that he's created inside, you can see some mussels. I don't know whether they're coming out or not, but there are mussels in there growing, very, very young juvenile mussels that have managed to get a hold in amongst all that texture and form. This is Artecology CoCreate working. Now these are much older, these pools. I think 2017 they were made and installed, but again, look at all the mussels in this corner here. See that bedded in, and then in these fingerprints, look, these are finger marks in this concrete. You can see where we've put our fingers. Look, the limpets are using them as home scars, the places that they return to after they go foraging for food.
at high tide. There's another one from around the same time. You can see there are mussels in the pinched material, and they get in under the overhangs. It's barnacles, of course, lots of barnacles. Barnacles like the outsides as well as the insides. There's our first oyster there. This is not a native species though. Not much we can do about these. These are Pacific oysters. At least I think that one is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. They still have the same function. They still filter water. They still provide food for things. And then this one is a weird one because this was sponsored by Natural England actually, and it's about chalk. So we've made a chalk treatment to this pool, and you can see it's very different the way it's populating. It's full of this intestinalis gutweed, and that's why it's not full to the brim, because the gutweed tends to siphon water out of the basin, and it'll only stay like that for as long as it's not being grazed by limpets. And this is sometimes seasonal. We see this happen on a seasonal basis. The gutweed grows, the limpets move in, they graze it all off, and the cycle starts again. And then this one is what's known as a Marinef vertipool. It was of a type that was used in a European study with Bournemouth University. But inside you can see there's some juvenile limpets and some adult limpets as well. But you'll notice there's no texture in this one, and that was the deliberate part of the project. That's a little friendly crow looking in the vertipools, see what we're looking at, why we're looking at them. Yeah, anything to tell us? No. And if we wander down a bit further, we've got this object, which is a flat bottom pool, bigger than the vertipools. We don't make objects much bigger than this. This is about as big as we go. But what's really fascinating about this is we've got some kelp or kelp-like weeds growing in here. This is new. We only put this in June of this year, and it's populating really, really beautifully with barnacles around this very, very hand-crafted, textured border. And you can see that there are winkles and there are limpets, and things love to get into these finger marks and call that their home. And then inside in the pool section we've got all kinds of things going on, lots of red seaweeds, some kelp or kelp-like weeds yet to be properly identified, beautiful green feathery seaweed there, a bit of sargassum, which of course is an invasive species, again unavoidable, but you can see tufts of it coming up here. It's all got ecological function, and this thing is beginning to do its job. Don't stand in the water. There it is. Right, let's head on back to the studio, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about Artecology CoCreate and how that's working and what it's for, and how we hope to engage many, many more people in the processes of what we do here. We think that it's important. In fact, it's crucial. In fact, really, it's the only reason to do this, is that we engage with people in the problem, biodiversity loss, climate change, and the link between the two, and the stresses that puts on the natural world, and therefore us as human beings and society. And these are very difficult subjects, aren't they? You know, nobody wants to think about existential threats. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that as a species we are designed not to think about those things. Introducing these very taxing and difficult subjects to people in a way that will really get them engaged and get them involved and feel invested, which is crucial going forward, surely. But that's kind of super important. We could be making these habitats and others, we do lots of other work as well, kind of secretly, and just putting it out there and let it do its work.
but I don't know, that seems like less than half the job done to me. It's going to be interesting to see how Artecology CoCreate works out. It's already started. We've had multiple projects this year, engaging with communities in various places in the UK, and then there's more projects planned for the coming year as well. Let me explain how we do it. Let's come in this way a bit. There we go. That's better. What's in these boxes is co-created objects that are made in partnership with our good friends up in the northeast of the country. I think I've already mentioned them. They're called Groundwork North Eastern Cumbria. And they do fantastic work. They're a charitable organisation. They do extraordinary work with communities, mostly environmental projects, but not exclusively, health and well-being, etc. We're sort of quite in tune with each other, and they seemed like a really obvious choice to be one of the early adopters of the Artecology CoCreate method. There's also an organisation in Portsmouth, because obviously we're based on the Isle of Wight. This is the Isle of Wight UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve that I'm talking to you from. And we've also been working with a fantastic organisation in Portsmouth. They're quite new. They're called City Arts. Their kind of specialism is arts, creativity and health and well-being. And of course, again, that plays a huge part in what we do. Healthy ecosystems, wildlife, etc. mean, you know, healthier society, healthier communities as well. Those two things go absolutely hand in glove. And look, I'm doing an unboxing video. I don't think I've ever done one of these before. So let's see what's in here. Bubble wrap. This bubble wrap's brilliant because I can reuse this. I can use it for pattern imprinting. So many of the objects, like the verticals you just saw, have elements that we use bubble wrap to produce patterns by imprinting it into the natural cements that we use. And then also this is what we've got inside, lots of lovely wrapped up bits of paper. I'm going to put a nature brick under there just to give it a little bit more so you can see what's going on. The main project is actually this project. So this is a model of what we'll be doing. We're going to be making a series of hexagonal pools in collaboration with another brilliant organisation called Cubex, who are a kind of high-end architectural concrete company, and they're going to produce the tiles and the hexagonal pools. In fact, they're doing that right now as we speak. So they come to this studio, and at that point we do all of this crafted, complex detail that goes inside the pools, and that's what's going to make them highly functional for wildlife. And some of that detail will be made by us with our hands, and some of it will be objects like these things that have been made by local people in the Whitby area, which is where these pools are going to go. Look at this lovely thing. Look at that. What a beautiful object. And they've absolutely understood the brief, and they've made an object that is inherently bioreceptive. It's got pattern, it's got texture, and it's got form. And look at that. I mean, it's just fantastic. So, and we can set this into the fabric of something much bigger, in this case these hexagonal pools, and it will bring a kind of structural complexity that you just can't get any other way. So this isn't about being do-gooders and, you know, oh, we're going to work with communities because someone's told us to do that. This is about producing the best quality, highly ecologically functional objects, artifacts that will work for nature. And what's more, we're going to have hundreds of random shapes. You know, if this was an algorithm being made, look at that, what a beautiful thing. Look at that. So, yeah, we kind of, amazing, look, another lovely thing, look. Reminiscent of a fox poo. but highly bioreceptive, and once kind of curated into the basins of these things that are going to hold water, life is going to absolutely find a way. Oh man, I love those. Look at those tubes. Tubes are brilliant. Very difficult to do, any other way. We see a lot of work being done using high-end technology, 3D printers, etc. The level of complexity that we can produce this way, working with communities, outstrips anything a 3D printer can do, particularly because it's random. There's no algorithm going on here. This is just people who have listened to what the workshop leader has said about what the brief is and what it is we're trying to do, with some clues about what kinds of shapes and patterns work for nature, and then they've just been set free to go and make objects like this. Very simple, made by a child, I suspect, but highly bioreceptive and fantastically useful and valuable to us as people working in nature inclusive design. Look at that. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. See, I would never think of doing that. Never. But someone's done it. And now this will become colonizable space, colonizable object. Things are going to get inside that deep hole. Things are going to colonize on the surface of it. It's that lovely word that I've learned over the years where we've been working with scientists and academics. Heterogeneity, patterns that don't really repeat. The natural world is just full of heterogeneity. Man alive, look at that. What a beautiful thing. It's almost like coral, isn't it? And these are going to provide the niches for life to find a way. This is intentional habitat. We intend it to be colonized, and we don't have to know who it's for, or we're not prescribing anything. We're just providing this fantastic heterogeneity in terms of pattern, texture and form, and life will just decide what it wants and what it doesn't want. And communities will appear, and of course communities of life are basically ecology. That's what makes it tick. We're not saying there's a particular target species that we're trying to attract. We're just saying, look, let's provide. Look at those two little mushrooms. So some of these things are quite figurative like that, but why not? Why not? Because look, they've got overhangs, they've got spaces underneath, they've got gaps in between. That is gonna be, something is gonna go, yeah, that's exactly what I've been looking for in terms of a place to live. I'm gonna do one more. I can't stop. This is so much fun. I cannot stop, but I'll do one more. This is nice. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Lovely little hole there. This could be set into the fabric of the structure, that way round, or maybe it's even we turn it upside down so that it becomes like a sealed thing with a hole for something to go in and out of. I suppose what our job will be is kind of like curators. When we get these large hexagon basins, when they're delivered just after Christmas, we will then have all of these fantastic, we've got 3 box loads of these things. We'll have all of these amazing objects, and we will curate them, into those hexagons. They're going to look fantastic. So that is Artecology CoCreate, kind of explained and sort of demonstrated. And as I said, we've got multiple projects lined up this year, and each one is happening and being funded in a slightly different way. In a way, that's the beauty of Artecology CoCreate. We don't even have to subscribe to the standard processes of how you get things done in terms of getting funding, because these are effectively arts and crafts workshops. We can draw down funding potentially from places that an engineering project just wouldn't be able to go. And maybe because it's to do with community engagement, it's a similar thing. We can go to funders that engineering or a development scheme wouldn't necessarily be able to go. This is an interdisciplinary approach, and it involves people, place and wildlife. It involves science, technology, engineering, arts, crafts and maths. So that's the STEAM agenda: science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics. I've been mentioning names, name dropping all over the place. And that's the reality of what we do. We can't do any of this stuff on our own. We need to collaborate, so we do. And that's what's brought us along the way so effectively and quickly, really, is through the partnerships and collaborations that we do. I mean, just this one alone to do that we're, you know, with all these component parts that I was showing you that we've been unboxing, is a really lovely collaboration. So we've got 4 separate organisations really that are working together. There's us, Artecology. We've got Cubex, the architectural concrete firm. We've got the commissioners themselves, who are much more than commissioners. They are partners in their own right. Matt Machuki, who leads the project from Groundwork North Eastern Cumbria point of view, is also a ceramicist, and so he ran the Artecology CoCreate workshops. And then we've got the ecologist, marine ecologist Ruth Callaway, who has been part of the whole design of the project in the first place. It was her scoping project that really brought all this together, and Ruth is an integral part of how this is going to pan out. And we're already planning our next collaboration with a version of that team. So, you know, the key to this is a whole bunch of novel approaches, and it means sort of kind of tearing up the rule book a bit, I think, about how we go about our business. We certainly have a kind of a non-business as usual approach to getting this work done. We think that it has to be that way. You know, we have to find meaningful ways of getting work done that aren't by association causing problems as we go. So anyone that follows us will know that we're quite vocal about that, and we're quite sort of we're a kind of campaigning organisation in that sense. Systems thinking is the backbone to how we work our projects and how we get things done and how we see ourselves going in the future. And when you use a systems thinking approach to things like scaling your business, it doesn't take much time before you realise that traditional scaling of a business like ours will cause harm. Basically, it will cause harm. It will become part of the problem. Just by definition, it becomes about extracting materials. It becomes about growth, in order to get your company bigger and make more money. And all of these things become destructive to the natural world and to planet Earth. Let's not mince words. The growth agenda is causing all of the problems, all of them, that we are currently facing. We now understand from the thermodynamics, and science tells us that you cannot continually grow in a system that has boundaries, that is finite. You can't keep extracting materials. You can't keep growing exponentially in a system, the planet, that has barriers to that. Ecology itself, the natural world itself, should be what is guiding us in terms of how we grow our organisations, our businesses. Ecologies of wildlife are themselves organisations. They're assemblages of organisations that work seamlessly together and within the boundaries that planet Earth is capable of supplying. And surely that is the kind of socio-economic system that we should be working towards. And it might as well start now. It just might, why would we work in an arena that is all about trying to save the planet one location at a time? Why would we do that in a way that is actually adding to the problem? Why on earth would we choose a model that actually adds to the problem in order to try and solve it? It doesn't make any sense to us whatsoever. And I promise you, anybody that uses a systems thinking approach in the development of their business or their corporation or organization will arrive at that thought. Use the natural world as your guide to see how sort of beautifully in tune it is with itself and the environment, and then put that as a layer over how we conduct ourselves as human beings, and you can see there's an enormous mismatch. It just bears no resemblance. The way we've created society, and we're dealing with that now. We're having to deal with that now. In the environmental changes that are happening, sea level rise and record-breaking temperatures, hot temperatures, record-breaking rainfall across the planet, not just here and there, but more or less everywhere. And those things are only going to get worse. So we must find alternative ways to work, alternative ways to get things done, to engage with as many folks as we possibly can through these processes as we start to understand them, and as we learn more and more about what works and what doesn't work. Then we should be engaging with people to come on board with us and find this stuff out. And that's our plan. That's what we're doing. Artecology CoCreate is a manifestation of that. So cheers, folks. Good to see you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Have a fantastic break. 2025 is just around the corner. No doubt we'll see you then. Cheers. Bye.